Okay, I think I'm on. Just turn that off. Welcome back to Waiheke Media Teacher here on YouTube. My name's Brent Simpson, and I thought I might do. I was thinking about what I was going to stream on tonight, and there's a lot of. I've been talking to a lot of students. There's been people kind of randomly coming back into school who are studying for NCEA exams, and I was talking to my son a little bit about memorization and how there's no getting around that large chunks of the exam are kind of about memorization, which is a great cognitive skill to acquire, but you and there are ways to there's a few tricks that we have to memorize things, and there's lots of research and evidence from neurology and psychology about memorization. We've been studying our brain quite closely for over 100 years now, so we should know a few things. And I thought I might talk about a couple of ways to assist in memorization for people studying for exams. So the first one was recently I had to learn a long speech in Te Reo Māori. It's called a whai kōrero. It's one of the talks which is given, sort of a formal speech that's given at a pōwhiri on a marae, and I was helping a group of students be pōwhiri onto the Kia Piratahi marae here on Waiheke Island, and I had to memorize a large chunk of the whai kōrero, about 2/3 of it, and it ended up being about a 4-minute speech in a language that I'm not particularly fluent in, but I'm pretty good at pronunciation, so I'm used to it. So, and one of the things that I did I found incredibly helpful. I had to memorize quite quickly, within about 3 days, at least 2/3 of the speech. I had about 1/3 of it already in my head, and what I did is I used my voice recorder on my phone. I've just got a normal phone too, a Samsung. So I used the voice recorder, and I had the speech written out, and I recorded myself reading the speech. The speech was like 3.5-4 minutes long as a recording. And then I had some headphones, and the next couple of nights I went for walks around my neighborhood. I walked up and down the street a couple of times, and I just listened to what I was trying to memorize, and I kind of repeated bits of it back in my head. And I did probably walk up and down the street. I could listen to it like 3 or 4 times. And after doing this a couple of times, I'd say it actually took me about, it took me good 2 or 3 days to actually nail a fairly substantial speech in Te Reo, by using this method. So that was that's one thing I think you could do. And even if you're like, it's particularly if you're trying to learn quotes for an NCEA level 2 or 3 exam, that could be something I could definitely see being worthwhile. I'm just trying to mess around with the chat thing. Not that anyone's chatting or listening at the moment, but so yeah, that was one thing. The other thing that I thought I might talk about, one more thing before I go, was something that let me see here. This is this one's about. It's on the wrong screen there. That's not what I want. Oops, I'll just fix this real quick. There we go. It's on the wrong window. Oh, that should be right. For some reason, it's not showing my the correct window there. Let me try that again. There we go. Okay, so this is another method of memorizing. This is good for anything. The other one's probably good for quotes or for people who are learning drama exams, have to do performances or, where something like that. This one is good for things, anything like this one's really good for if you're making flashcards. And the idea behind this one is that, and this one's got some pretty good evidence to it as well, is that you use what's called a cloze device, and you've probably seen clozes for students. They look like this, where it's a statement or some piece of text where we leave out words, and it's kind of like the fill in the blank. Fill in the blank, we'd call this. And what you do is you actually use that idea as what we call a metacognitive strategy, so a strategy for actually trying to learn. And this one's a good one apparently for retention, because what it does is by leaving these gaps out. So this could be one side of your of a flashcard, and you write the saying that you're trying to remember. Fair is blank and foul is blank. I'll zoom that in a little bit. There we go. Silly thing, doesn't like that. Here you go. That's a little bit better. And so you fill it, you leave it, and then when you're going over your flashcards, the idea behind this is that your brain has to work a little bit harder, because it's got to put in the word that's supposed to go there, and that aids in your long-term retention. For example, fair is foul and foul is fair. All of these are, oh valiant cousin, oh worthy gentleman. So my brain has to sort of go, okay, what goes in there? Oh yes, it's oh worthy, and it's that little bit of effort gives you some cognitive rewards in being able to retain things in long-term memory. So when you're writing out your cards, and this one could probably apply for almost anything like definitions and science, take the definition and leave out a couple of keywords and just make your brain do a little bit extra work in order to figure out what it is, and that will just add retention. And I had someone today sort of tell me, that's stupid. Why would I do any of those things like leave stuff out? Well, because it's science, it's like people run this through tests, and why not do any little thing that's going to contribute to this one event in your life, retaining a bit of some information. So give it a go. If you're thinking at home, I'm going to make some flashcards, think about using this little trick of leaving out words in a kind of a cloze style. And even if you don't use it as a flashcard thing, it gives you something to look at and review. So 2 little tips. We'll come back tomorrow and try and keep doing some streams and engaging with you guys this way. Hopefully, if you are studying, I seem to be on around 8:30 around there. If you're studying and you have some questions particularly around NCEA level English, that's what I teach. So feel free to ask me about any subject on that. So subscribe to the channel. It'll probably let you know when the live feeds are going on. And thanks for watching on this little brief thing on a couple of metacognitive strategies for people trying to learn things for their exams. Good night. Kia kaha.